Aaron Rodgers is keeping the Pittsburgh Steelers hostage. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers are patiently awaiting quarterback Aaron Rodgers' decision on what team he's going to sign with. Is he going to go with the Steelers and sign with them? Is he going to go to the New York Giants? Is he going to go to the Minnesota Vikings? Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers have around $50 million in cap space, but right now they have everything on pause as they await quarterback Aaron Rodgers' decision. So, before I get more into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, like I said, the Pittsburgh Steelers have around $50 million in cap space, and the only really big move the Steelers made this offseason was trading for DK Metcalf and sign him to that 5-year extension. But outside of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers still have a lot of money, and they still have a lot of needs to fill on this roster in terms of cornerback position, defensive tackle, another safety, some other players. They still have a lot of needs that they have to fill on this roster. But every move they've made in free agency this far has been signing guys to little contracts, no more than like $10 million. Outside of that, they weren't a big spender in free agency this far, even though having a lot of cap space. And a lot of that falls on Aaron Rodgers holding the Pittsburgh Steelers hostage, because Aaron Rodgers, if he signs with the Steelers, he's going to take a big chunk of that $50 million in cap space, or $44 million, wherever it stands. He's going to take a big chunk of that out towards his contract for this season. So the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of have to not sign guys to a huge deal, because they're going to need some of that cap space for Aaron Rodgers if he does decide to sign with the Steelers. But if he doesn't sign with the Steelers, then the Steelers missed out on a lot of free agents this far, and they're still going to have that big cap space left, but no one to sign. So that's how Aaron Rodgers is leaving the Steelers hostage. They're not using their cap space to go out and sign some cornerbacks, sign some defensive tackles, nose tackles. They're not signing another safety, even though that Donte KZ is a free agent. They're not going out and signing these guys to contracts, these bigger name players, because they're patiently waiting on Aaron Rodgers to decide if he is actually going to sign with the Steelers. But the thing is, though, he's taking so long that everyone is leaving in free agency to different teams, and there's going to be no one left by the time the Steelers are done with the decision. So, Aaron Rodgers, if he comes to the Steelers, good. The Steelers still have a little bit of cap space left. They could go out and maybe clear some more and maybe sign these guys to base contracts and sign the lower end free agents to their team. But those guys are going to be more depth pieces. They're not going to be the starters that the other teams have already signed this far. They're not going to get these starters left in free agency. They're going to get these depth pieces, and they're going to be filling out the roster. But if Aaron Rodgers decides to sign, then that's all good, because at least you have a quarterback. You have a quarterback that go out and maybe make the playoffs, and someone who can still do it at a high level with his IQ. So you're fine in that aspect. But if Aaron Rodgers decides to go to a different team, and you don't have these starters on the defense at the cornerback, nose tackle position, another safety, if you don't have these top end talents, and you have these lower guys that you're still just filling out your team with in terms of depth pieces, then they're not going to be able to carry you throughout the season. And then you're in a bad situation because you don't have a quarterback and you still need one, but you still have all this cap space to spend, but you're spending on lower end players. So it just doesn't make sense where the Pittsburgh Steelers are at right now, and they're putting their whole season basically on the line to sign Aaron Rodgers because he's keeping them hostage, awaiting the decision. You look at the Giants made some moves this offseason. They went on to sign some major top end players to contracts, some safeties, some cornerbacks to high contracts, and they went on to spend it. And they still have cap space for Aaron Rodgers if they decide to sign with them. So the Giants went out and made some moves. Are they going to be a playoff team? Probably not. But they went out and made some moves and got these top end free agents as well as waiting on Aaron Rodgers. So they're not really in a hostage situation, but the Steelers are, because the Steelers aren't spending the money. They're waiting. So looking at Aaron Rodgers, apparently a report came out this morning by The Athletic. The reason why Aaron Rodgers is taking so long is he's waiting on basically an update from the Minnesota Vikings. Apparently the Vikings are like his top option to go to because they just went 14-3 this past season. They kind of lost Sam Darnold in free agency. They don't really have a quarterback other than JJ McCarthy, but he's never played a snap in the NFL. He tore his ACL, I believe, before the season even started, so he missed the entire year. So the Vikings need a quarterback. outside of JJ, and bringing in Aaron Rodgers could be good for the team after just having Sam Darnold go 14-3. So apparently Aaron Rodgers likes that kind of move and likes that atmosphere in Minnesota and what they just accomplished. So he's waiting on a decision update on their quarterback spot before he goes and even thinks about signing with the Steelers and the Giants. And the thing is, though, another report came out is that the Giants are offering more money to Aaron Rodgers than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are basically the second option team in terms of the winning situation, but in terms of the money, they're basically last because the Steelers aren't offering as much money. The Steelers are basically hoping that Aaron Rodgers, if it does go down between the Giants and them, and the Vikings are out of it, if it goes down between the Giants and the Steelers, that Aaron Rodgers looks at the situation and goes, hey, we have a good head coach, player head coach, and we have a more winning situation than the Giants, and you actually have a chance to make the playoffs every single year, and make the playoffs this year on your way out of the NFL with your career dwindling down. You have a chance to still compete, but you're going to have to take less money. So that's basically the situation the Pittsburgh Steelers are in terms of waiting on Aaron Rodgers and seeing the decision he's making. But right now, Aaron Rodgers is completely holding the Pittsburgh Steelers offseason in hostage. And the thing is, though, he doesn't even care that he's doing this because he's in Malibu, he's in walking these beaches, and he's out here taking a stroll late at night, and he's not even in the U.S. right now, not even talking to the Pittsburgh Steelers or the New York Giants in direct meetings. It's more go through in the agents and just walking the beaches, taking a stroll, thinking about and gathering his thoughts. So he's doing all this, and it just seems like he's just playing with the Steelers, playing with the Giants, playing with the Vikings, and just playing with all the NFL media because everyone's awaiting his decision, and he just doesn't care. And he's going to make the decision when he wants to make it, not when you want him to make it. And that's been Aaron Rodgers his whole career. That's been what he's done his whole career, and he's not going to change now. And it's crazy the Pittsburgh Steelers are actually putting up with it and not going a different route. And I'm talking about the Steelers outside free agents in terms of them only being able to sign depth pieces. But what happens if Russell Wilson, he signs with the team, and the Steelers are out of that picture? And then all the other quarterbacks in free agency have already got signed. And then there's no one left in free agency in the quarterback room. Who are the Pittsburgh Steelers going to go to? Are they going to have to waste a first-round draft pick on a quarterback because all you have is Mason Rudolph at the quarterback position? Is that going to have to be the move the Pittsburgh Steelers make? Well, you don't want it to be like that, but it looks like that's going to end up happening if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign with the Steelers. The Browns are interested in Russell Wilson. The Giants are interested in Russell Wilson. And if Aaron Rodgers decides to go to the Vikings and Russell Wilson decides to go to either the Browns or the Giants, who's left with the Pittsburgh Steelers? No one. And then the main position on your football team, the quarterback, is completely gone. You don't have one, and Justin Fields has already signed with the Jets, so you can't go that route. All you have left is your Mason Rudolph addition that you signed him to a $4 million per year contract, 2 years, $8 million. And obviously you signed him to be the backup, not the starter. So the Steelers, they're in a tough situation here. And Aaron Rodgers is the reason. Aaron Rodgers, he can look at the Steelers' positions and be like, hey, I have DK Metcalf, I have George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Kelvin Austin in the slot, the fast, shifty. I have running back Jaylen Warren. I have Kenneth Gainwell. I have a pretty decent offense line. I have TJ Watt on the defense side of the ball, Cameron Hayward. I could look at the Steelers and be like, hey, I have some good players here. I could go there. Or he could look at the Giants and be like, I was just in New York with the Jets. They just added some players this free agency. I could go with them. Or he could look at the Vikings, in which he's probably more excited if he could get the opportunity to play with them based off what they just did this past season and be like, hey, I'm going there. But it's his decision. We're going to have to keep waiting. It just doesn't seem like he's going to make a decision anytime soon. So Pittsburgh Steelers are in a pickle. The Pittsburgh Steelers are being held hostage by him. The Giants are kind of fine with whatever route they go. They could tank either way. They're probably not going to do much anyway, so it doesn't really matter to them. The Vikings, they're fine with probably going J.J. McCarthy. That's why they drafted him. So if they get Aaron Rodgers, good. If they don't, oh well. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are the only ones who's really hurting from all of this. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. This is the end of the video. How do you feel about Aaron Rodgers holding the Pittsburgh Steelers hostage? And do you believe, like I believe, that Pittsburgh Steelers are pausing their whole offseason, just waiting on this decision? and they're missing out on all these other guys just waiting on Aaron Rodgers. And do you think Aaron Rodgers will even end up signing with the Steelers? And do you want him? Do you not want him? And what team do you think he'll go to? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports. Everything surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers free agency thus far, in terms of all the signings, I've covered it on the channel, so go ahead and check it out. And every future signing, trade, whatever is done, I'm covering it. So everything this offseason, I have it covered. This is the best spot for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, but also rumors. I'm covering all that as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, and until the next video, probably later on today if someone else is added to the team, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.